moderate the panel. So we're going to continue with the next narrative of Infra meets adoption. And again, thank you so much for coming. This brunch is sponsored by Flair, and we also have the co-hosts Sablier, Magna, and Somnia. Feel free to meet the team and grab some swags and get to know them after this. So over to Mia as well to moderate the panel. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome everyone. I'm thrilled to be moderating today's panel on blockchain infrastructure. If you guys want to pick up one of the mics already. We have an incredible lineup of experts here, and let's dive into it. So how does infra decisions at your company directly impact both developers and end users?
I would say that those decisions impact basically everything. If you're building a blockchain and you don't have basically all the infra that's expected to be around a blockchain, you basically have almost nothing. You can deploy a smart contract over there, but if you don't have, say, a block explorer, you don't have the graph, you basically are dead in the water. You can't build anything that's actually useful, or like, also a lot of all these pieces of infra, they have been, they're now basically taken for granted by developers. So in case you don't have it, like you, even if your tech is good, even if you have like a fully functioning product, the feeling that people get from you is that your product, your blockchain, your ecosystem is broken. So I would say that this is basically a make or break for, at least for a blockchain, either if it's an L1 or an L2.
I'm co-founder and CEO at Sablier. We handle on-chain token distribution. If you notice any similarity with Magna, that is a correct assumption. And we've worked with companies like OpenZeppelin, Uniswap Governance to handle their on-chain investing programs, and more recently with Fluid and Inside App to handle their investing process. And I'm also an EVM developer, so I've been working in Solidity for like 6 years now. And I've been like straddling both business and development jobs. And what I can say from the infra side is that it still impacts the adoption and end user experience a lot. For example, what indexer you choose will impact how your users view the app. We talked about this before, like with the multiple chains, single chain view. But one feature request we receive a lot is to be able to view your data across all the chains under one view. But that is something that you as a dApp developer just like can't control. It's all about the infra you go with. And sometimes, like if you want to have a fallback indexer, maybe one of those doesn't support like a single chain view. So it can get very complicated. So basically, infra is still very, very much relevant for adoption today, and how the end user experiences like Web3.
Hi everyone, I'm Abril. I work as a developer relations at Abstract, and prior than this I also work in another L2, so I pretty much understand how important is the infrastructure in chains, for example. At Abstract we're trying to make sure that we work with top tier teams. We actually use Sablier, so it's cool to be in another panel with you. And yeah, I think it's really important for developers. Like for example, at Abstract we work by demand. If developers need RPCs or APIs, like for example, a lot of people asked for NFT APIs, and now we have one that is going to be down soon. So we're working really closely with, like for example, Alchemy, because developers need that. So we're trying to make sure that developers are having the best experience. And you know, I spend most of my time in Telegram trying to make sure that I understand what they need and trying to talk to the infra teams. And yeah, I feel like it's really important to have all the necessary pieces to be able to provide the best infrastructure possible.
Can you share an example of a critical infra decision that significantly improves usability and performance?
I think bridges, for example, because we work really closely with some of the most important bridges right now. Since we have Abstract Global Wallet, which is our native account abstraction wallet, and we do need users to bridge funds from, for example, an EOA to AGW. And I think that was the main piece that we wanted to make sure that we have the best infra providers for mainnet, for day one especially. And yeah, that's my main take on that.
Paul, any thoughts?
As I said, there was the case with the subgraph indexer, which we switched to Envio, and I do want to give those guys a shout out. I think it's a great product for indexing because they give us like unified view, and that helped a lot. But something that we did on our end using our development resources is we have a monolith contract design where all the vasting plans are in the same contract. So just like, for example, in Uniswap, you have like all the tokens used to be in one pool. Now we have that for vasting, so that reduced gas costs and like lower the consumption for users.
But first, I also realized that I didn't introduce myself, so sorry about that. I'm Ignacio. I'm a smart contract developer and I'm also head of engineering here at Somnia, which is a super fast EVM layer 1 that just launched last Thursday. That's why I was talking all of that stuff about like building a blockchain from scratch, which is basically what we're doing. Regarding the key pieces of infra that I think that have been like determinant for us. First one is bridges for sure. We had another partnership with other chain, and the moment they launched, we found like as users that their bridging was basically not there. It was very slow. It turns out that they had a failover bridge, but it was not in documentation, so we kind of like learned from that because it was quite scary for a user. Like, I want to use this chain, I'm very hyped about it, but then I just can't, or if I can't, I'm just like very unclear on what's going on, if it's working properly or not. And then there was another bridge that actually worked, and that there was nowhere to be found. Like, you could find it in a random tweet that was around during the launch. So that's one. And then, for example, in our specific case, we're having a bit of trouble finding indexers that can keep up with the speed of the chain. So we basically have this stress test for our own providers, and basically at around the maximum that we got was 10k TPS, and after that, basically all the providers failed. So we're working very closely with them, but there is like a very specific use case when you reach that usage on the chain, where basically a lot of the indexing falls apart.
Scalability, decentralization, and usability. There's always tension between these three. Have you ever had to sacrifice one of them to optimize one of the others?
Yeah, for sure. I would say the first thing that falls is decentralization. We are very focused on scalability and usability. So for the first stages, you basically can't pretend that you are going to be like fully decentralized from the get-go. You basically need that control over your infrastructure, over your roadmap. So you basically just can't give that away on the first stages. Progressively, the idea is to moving more towards a decentralized setup. But right now, I would say like scalability and usability is paramount, and we can forego a bit of centralization for the time being while we basically get there.
Let's get the audience a bit activated. Who here has upgradable contracts in their systems? Can you raise your hand? 1, 2. Okay, there's like 15-20%. This might be a spicy take, but I think you should stop doing that, because upgradable contracts are not decentralized. And something that we as Sablier did and do and will always do is only ship non-upgradable contracts. This is a trade-off, because an upgradable system is obviously leads to a better user experience, because you don't have to switch, you don't have to migrate anything. But it enables us to ship only permissionless decentralized software that has the guarantee of us never being able to touch user funds, never being able to add a withdraw function. And yeah, that's something we're quite proud of. Maintaining, we have like 6 or 7 deployments, maintaining all of them in the same UI, like having them be compatible with a single UI is difficult work. The subgraphs we have are like very complicated, but we're doing that in the name of transparency, decentralization, and permissionlessness. And I encourage everyone in this industry, unless it's like strictly necessary because of, I don't know, it's like a lending thing or something with the regulations in your jurisdiction, please ship only non-upgradable contracts.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think as a chain, I know that a lot of chains, you start from scratch and you need to kind of grow progressively. And a lot of chains started with, for example, centralized sequencers, right? They didn't have decentralized sequencers at first. And it's something that you need to grow slowly. Sometimes it depends on the team. For example, us, Abstract is part of the CK stack. And a lot of people complain because CK Sync is not fully EVM. So we're moving there. They're moving into EVM equivalence and into a lot of, app code compatibility. So yeah, I would say it's like a slow progress. Depends on the team, but yeah, that's like my main take. And in Abstract, we're trying to make sure that everything we do is secure, especially with our wallets that we put out there, an amazing experience wallet that I'm gonna touch more details on that later. But we're trying to make sure that we have those 3 points. But sometimes it doesn't depend on you. But yeah, that's like my main take on that.
Cool. Let's release a little bit of the tension here on the panel. I didn't introduce you guys because you were introduced previously, so I think maybe, Paul, you didn't hear it. But it's good for you guys to reintroduce yourselves. On the questions, it sounds like you want to take it somewhere, so I'd like, Paul, if you want to mention something now and get like the audience engaged, I will be happy to switch from questions to this format, if you want to do that.
Well, I don't have anything particular to say, but on this point about like upgradability, yeah, I just want to encourage everyone to ship non-upgradable software. I think it's otherwise you're basically a bank. You are a bank because you can add a function to withdraw funds. And sure, it's like a transparent way, but I think we should keep ourselves to a higher standard in terms of like user funds and permissionlessness. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm not so dead serious about it. Like, if you're like prototyping and you have like a hackathon project, do whatever you want. But if you're fundraising, you have like millions in the bank, you have the resources to like work with migrations and like do like write contracts that are non-upgradable, and then they can be integrated in the same UI, like under one roof.
I can disagree respectfully.
Yeah, I'll say.
As a smart contract developer, I totally agree with you. So like, that's it. But then, from the perspective of being, don't get me wrong, realistic as a company, right now we are not degens anymore in a basement hidden somewhere that, deploying contracts that no one knows who we are or where we are. Most of us here, we work for companies that are established somewhere, regulated somewhere, they are subject to laws, etc. So like in most cases, I guess here, if you add this withdraw function in your smart contract and then you run away with the money, you will be eventually caught up somewhere, Serbia or wherever. But then there is also the argument to make in favor of the upgradable smart contracts, which is security. So like you can have as many audits as you want. At some point, you're always at risk of losing your users' funds because of a bug, because of some new kind of exploit for whatever. I was with a panel the other day with a guy who was very convinced that AI was going to break like the basic security of blockchain and find new kind of new ways of doing exploits. So I think that you can forego that decentralization guarantee because you are, and I hate to say this, protected by like the centralized regulatory bodies or whatever, that they will go after you if you do such a thing. And on the other side, you basically are protecting your users if someone finds a bug and you have time to upgrade and fix it on time. Do you have any opinion on that, Abril?
One of the things I think about when I think about infra and adoption is obviously like user experience. I'm not on the technical side, I'm more on the user side. And I do wonder if we're getting closer to have more of a similar experience of a Web 2, where everything feels familiar and it's abstracted in the background, or is Web 3 aiming for a specific industry experience?
As far as I'm concerned, I think the answer is an emphatic no. No, we're getting actually away from abstraction. There are like more wallets, like more chains, more options to choose from, and I don't think that's all bad. I think Web3 in many ways is like a bazaar. It's not like a central market with like a big shop. It's multiple small shops and multiple vendors. I think that can be cool. Whether like how long that will take for users to adapt, I don't know. But as far as I'm as a like individual Web3 user myself, I love it. It takes time. I'm a nerd and I'm like a developer, but I love it. I think I prefer this compared to the like being hamstrung by whatever limited options I have with my bank accounts and being tracked all day long. But yeah, the trade-off in the meantime is that we're moving away from like need abstraction and whatnot. But I think there's a positive side to that.
Hey, bro.
I think we're not really getting closer to that. So we're working actually a lot with this on Abstract. That's why we have that name as well. And it's interesting because when we launch our portal and ads.xyz, you can see that we put a lot of effort on trying to make sure that the users understand how to move funds from an Ethereum wallet to AGW. And even with that, a lot of people, even crypto natives, lost their funds because they didn't understand that it was a different address. It was a different, like completely different thing. And we explain it. I will say it was interesting because I saw a lot of people that were pretty new to crypto understanding that more than a crypto native. So I don't know how we're solving that. I mean, at Abstract, again, we are working really hard to solve that problem. I think is we are a consumer chain. How you target consumers. You cannot target consumers if you have a shit experience, like most of companies, right? And I'm not saying Abstract has the best experience out there. Actually, we're taking all of the user feedback. We're live since like 4 weeks ago now. But I think account abstraction is the main point on that. And yeah, hopefully we can see companies getting user experience closer to what a Web 2 product can offer nowadays. But I think we're not getting any closer. But I know that a lot of teams are working on that. So that's something that we should be proud of, and we should keep working on that.
Ignacio.
On this one, I think that crypto users are quite a weird subset of technology users, for that matter. So it turns out that our experience, which may not be like generalizable to everyone, we made a small prototype of a product where we were trying to basically abstract away all the blockchain interactions from the user, expecting that it was going to be like well received. This is very easy. It was like a mini game, right? You do this interaction and then you have the NFT in your wallet, and then you can go to this specific place and you see all your assets over there. Well, people hated it because they were not getting their wallet pop up and they were not accepting the transaction, so they were very lost about what was happening. So there's a couple of explanations here. First, our audience at the time was more Web3 native than we expected. But also, I think that we have been, as Web3 users, we are used to this experience so much that we are kind of like, so used to that you don't want to change it right now. So you get a crypto native, you don't have the, I'm getting nervous. Thank you.
Sorry for that.
Sorry.
He wanted to talk as well.
Some wasps were hurt in this panel, I'm sorry. That's it, safe. Thank you, Paul. So yeah, basically Web3 people are quite weird people. They are badly used to this bad UX, And if you take away this bad UX from the Web3 people, they're basically lost. And it's very funny and it's very frustrating, but I think we're trying to get the Web3 experience more towards the Web2 experience. And I'm starting to think that that might be a mistake. We need to find like a unique workflow, better than what we currently have, but just like make it obvious that's Web3 in some way.
Interesting. So industry-wide, is there like any collective effort towards unifying this experience so it's a singular experience all across? Have you seen anything interesting?
I think that account abstraction is like the most obvious one, but then also you have like very different ways of doing account abstractions. You can do it inserted in the protocol itself. You can do it with the ERC for the 337. So we are still not like agreeing on a single way of doing this, which is fun. So we are trying to unify the user experience, but we are not unified on how we do that. I think we'll get there eventually, as well as on the cross-chain interactions, intents and such. There is still like 3 or 4 different ways of doing that are competing out there. We will end up settling in 1, maybe 2. And then at least from the developer point of view, everything will be much easier, much clearer, especially like in expectations about what other people in the ecosystem are doing, right?
Yeah, I think there are several efforts, and on the protocol side, there are the intense people in the cross-chain liquidity. Shout out to Socket Protocol, doing great work on this. On the UI side, you have all these wallets like Rabby, which I like, that they aggregate the holdings across all the chains your EVM wallet is on. I found that feature very helpful when I landed in Denver and the border control asked me to declare my crypto holdings. And I could just open my Rabby wallet and say, hey, this is my entire value here. But even besides that, like that situation, it's a really cool wallet. And whether it will be able to support non-EVM, I think that's a big question. It would be very cool if it did, but yeah, TBD.
I forgot what the main question is, but I think I have ADHD. I think for us, for example, something that we shipped, kudos to our engineer that is not here, but he's amazing. He shipped session keys. It's something that, we're a smart wallet, and we have a lot of games deployed on Abstract, and a lot of teams complain like, oh, I don't want users to, every transaction they need to have a pop-up inside the transaction. It's very annoying. So we ship session keys because, as I said, we really work on demand, like we hear users. And that's something that I'm very bullish on because that really reduces the friction on the Web3 experience. And for example, I don't know how many of you have used Abstract Global Wallet here? No one. Okay, yeah, there's some people. Nice. So what we did is, instead of having the necessity of installing a browser extension or another app to use the wallet, we have everything in one single place. So you can manage your funds in abs.xyz and you don't need to move anywhere else, right? So that's something that we really thought that reduces the complexity between, okay, I have to install this thing, and it's everything in one place. Of course, right now, for now, it only works for Abstract apps and it's not mobile, but we're working hard to make sure that in the future we can make it more like a cross-chain. For now, it's not really possible because we use native account abstraction thanks to CK Sync, so it doesn't really work right now, but I think that's our main goal, is to make sure that everything is in one single place. You don't need to move anywhere else. You literally, it's like an app store. You can find every app that is deployed on Abstract in our website. And if you want to manage funds, send transactions, whatever you want to do is there. And session keys is something that really changed the game on that, especially for those kind of like users that don't really want to deal with those things, or even like the features that Smart Wallet has, like gas sponsorship, like we have paymaster contracts. You don't need to pay gas fees anymore, right? So yeah, there's a lot of things that teams are working on and we're working on that can be possible to have everything in one single place. I think that was a question, but I'm not sure.
That's all right. We're gonna wrap it up. Is there anything exciting coming up for each company? And let us know where people can keep up with you guys on social media.
Yeah, sure. So for us, was actually that happened last Thursday. We launched our testnet. So now the network is stable. We're starting to onboard a lot of different partners. So you will be seeing big games that you may know from like before because they were deployed. Either Web3 games or Web2 games that are turning to Web3 will start popping up on Somnia. You can keep up with all the stuff either on our Twitter, which is Somnia Network, or in somnia.network, which is our webpage. And yeah, excited to answer any questions, meet some of you after the talk.
About Sablier, we have two things in pipeline. Firstly, Solana. It's been a long time in the making, but we're going to have a deployment in Q2, late Q2. And second, a new product for airdrops, where it's a game theoretical design where the longer you keep on not claiming, the bigger the airdrop will be. So if you're launching an airdrop and you're interested in that feature, reach out to me. And otherwise, thank you very much. It was a great panel. And yeah, thanks.
Wait. A lot of what's next for Abstract? When token. Just kidding. I think for us, the last few weeks has been just, improvements. We're shipping every single week something new. We have our streaming section, so we're expecting to receive more streamers on Abstract, more apps. A lot of new games. I think our main focus right now is basically games because that's honestly like what people have fun with. And yeah, I think just a lot of improvements and seeing new users and improving the developer experience as always in my side. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any question on Abstract, happy to talk next to this talk.
April, Paul, Ignacio, thank you for sharing your insights, and everyone else, enjoy the rest of the event.